It's Monday, August 12. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government is not giving up on implementing the National Identity and Registration Act, NIDS. He was speaking at the launch of the Electronic Business Forum, the EBR, in Kingston last week.
We have not given up on the national identification system. We're still moving ahead to put in place the backbone that is going to be necessary to have the system work. All the work that is put into this form will have to be hosted somewhere, on some digital server platform somewhere, whether it is the cloud or hosted here locally. We are putting in the infrastructure to do that. And when it comes time for approvals to be given for these documents that are registered online, there has to be exchange of information at the back end between the government agencies. We have to put the platform in place so that if, for example, somebody applies and there needs to be a security check, that security check takes place seamlessly in the background and quickly.
Prime Minister Holness spoke of the importance of NIDS in developing Jamaica into a digital economy.
One thing that ties all of this together is the identification. Because if you looked very closely at what was said, you have to give a number to identify yourself and then put in a password that's complex enough to protect your identity. National identification is critical for a digital society. Critical.
On April 12, the Supreme Court of Jamaica struck down the NIDS Act in its entirety on the basis that several key provisions were unconstitutional after a review of the ruling. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett left the island on the weekend to meet with the United Nations Division of Partners and other potential tourism investors in New York. Bartlett said he'll be meeting with the United Nations Division of Partners to discuss the relationship with the Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center and Jamaica's strategic development, particularly in areas of climate change and seismic disruptions. The GTRCM is dedicated to assisting preparedness management and recovering from disruptions and crises that impact tourism and threaten economies and livelihoods. Just this week, President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, accepted the invitation to be an honorary co-chair representing Africa. And Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his administration will be acting quickly to rebuild the Jamaica National Children's Home in Pepin, St. Andrew, where a fire broke out last week. Sections of the facility, which housed 41 children, were destroyed in the blaze. Loss is estimated at $150 million. None of the wards were hurt in the fire. Meanwhile, Sagicor has pledged $1 million towards fire relief efforts at the home. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has declared that the government is committed to solving the country's housing and land settlement issues. Already, he said, his administration holds the strongest record in housing. According to a release from the Office of the Prime Minister, the National Housing Trust, NHT, is on track to build 22,000 homes by the end of this financial year, the most housing solutions built by a single administration. The Prime Minister stated that this can be done through increasing the housing construction to realize 5,000 to 10,000 houses per year in planned communities. The Prime Minister made the comments on Friday during his keynote address at the groundbreaking ceremony at Ryan Park Estate in St. James. The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, country representative for Jamaica, Therese Turner-Jones, is calling for Jamaicans to take a stand against irresponsible road use. She said that reckless driving should not be the norm, and Jamaicans should, quote, call it out when they see it and not turn a blind eye, end quote. She was addressing the inaugural Caribbean Road Safety Workshop on Thursday at the IDB's offices located along Montrose Road in St. Andrew. Mrs. Turner-Jones, who is general manager for the IDB's Caribbean Country Department, said that the 269 road fatalities recorded in the island since the start of the year is alarming, noting that she's deeply concerned. She noted that road crashes can result in loss of 3 or 4% of gross domestic product from the economic cost associated with medical bills, loss of mobility and ability to work, and of course, death. Mrs. Turner-Jones pointed out that while low and middle income countries like Jamaica account for 54% of the world's vehicles, they're responsible for 90% of all road fatalities. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson is dismissing claims by critics that the state of public emergency are being overused in the effort to fight crime. The Andrew Holness administration has come under fire from parliamentary opposition and other critics for its use of SOEs as a crime-fighting tool. The opposition People's National Party, PNP, is now considering filing legal action in the Supreme Court on the constitutionality of continued use of SOEs. Addressing the Manchester Chamber of Commerce last week, the police commissioner defended the continued use of SOEs to target criminal gangs and to find illegal guns. The government and the parliamentary opposition has lauded the work of Clive Peck, the Jamaican man who was one of 2 United Nations peacekeepers killed in a bomb blast in Libya on the weekend. Jamaica's Foreign Affairs Minister, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, said Peck served the UN with distinction and devoted his life to a mission of aiding the Libyan people in the midst of one of the most severe conflicts and humanitarian crises in the world. Minister Johnson-Smith is quoted saying, "It is indeed a sad moment, but we take pride in his courage and service," end quote. She revealed, too, that UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has attested to Mr. Peck's courage, service, and dedication to the goals of the United Nations. Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips described Peck as a Jamaican who was committed to the global mission of peace and service to humanity. Jamaica's venture into the gaming sector is now official, following news that the world-famous Hard Rock Cafe and Hotel will be setting up shop in Rose Hall, St. James, with a total of 1,700 rooms. According to Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett, ground could be broken by the end of the year next door to the Iberia Star Resorts. Bartlett, in pointing out the significance of the investment, said not only will thousands of jobs be generated, but also it will firmly cement Jamaica as the #1 high-end market in the region. In regional news, authorities in Guyana are denying that Haitians are being brought into the country to register to vote in upcoming elections. There are claims that Haitians entering the country are being given documents to participate in the house-to-house registration process now underway to create a new voters list. But Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu has denied those claims.
The opposition elements in this country are irresponsible, political opposition, and their allies and their friends to use the statistics as if the Haitians are coming here and they're doing a disappearing act and that they're being registered to vote in the next election. This is racism. This is xenophobia. This is instilling hatred of one set of people against another. And we have seen where this had taken the world. Stop this nonsense. Stop the hate against the Haitian. Do not use them as political footballs. Do not use them as scapegoat in your quest for political power. And do not incite our people against the Haitian.
Trinidad and Tobago's Education Minister Anthony Garcia says Barbados-based Caribbean Examinations Council will determine whether or not 4 students who were caught cheating during the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate math exams this year will be disqualified for a period of 2 years from all exams. The students from the Tranquility Government Secondary School who sat the exam in May were caught cheating after a video was posted to social media showing them and other students using their cell phones to share an answer sheet. According to the education minister, the disqualified students were the ones that were easily identified in the video. It's reported that after they were caught cheating, the invigilators allowed the students to complete their exams but warned that they would face severe consequences. The invigilators were later dismissed. In sports, we're on the pitch with cricket. On Sunday, Gayle became the all-time highest West Indian run scorer in one-day international cricket. Going into the second ODI of the three-match series against India at the Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad, needing just 9 runs to surpass the tally of 10,405 by Brian Lara, the 39-year-old opening batsman played with exaggerated care for 21 deliveries before slashing left-arm seamer Khalil Ahmed to the backward point boundary to reach 11, lifting his overall tally to 10,408. The match was already a historic landmark for Gayle, as it is his 300th ODI, taking him past Lara's 299 as most by a West Indian in the 50 overs per side format. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks so much for watching.